A long time ago, a poor farmer, Olagoke, was instructed by the Ifa oracle to go far into a distant land if he wanted to be prosperous. And so, he traveled far away. He went to a village that he had never heard of before. The people found him and thought that he was strange, so they decided to take him to their king. Olagoke got to the king and bowed before him. The king wanted to know who he was and what he wanted in their village. Olagoke told the king about the Ifa oracle that got him out of his village. He told the Kabiyesi that he would appreciate if he could get a piece of land where he could farm on. The king smiled and promised him one piece of land and told him that he was going to pay for the land when he had made money. Olagoke agreed. While the king was still interviewing Olagoke, the seer, a wise man who the villagers believed heard directly from Olodumare, entered. Kabiyesi o, the seer said as he bowed, "Your daughter, Apike, will die in 7 days. This is what I have seen." The king looked shocked beyond words as he heard the words of the seer. The seer, on delivering his message, turned back and left. The king became confused. He stood up from his throne. He went directly into his room. Olagoke was shocked at what he had just witnessed. He worriedly thought to himself, who was this man who came in looking all so powerful to talk as if he was the Olodumare himself? Olagoke got out of the palace filled with more questions than answers. After 7 days, the whole village was thrown into mourning. Apike, the king's beloved daughter, was dead. Olagoke went to mourn with the king at the palace. He offered his condolences and turned to sit. He immediately saw the seer and he became scared. He wondered why the king hadn't locked up the man who said that his daughter would die. He inquired from one of the chiefs and he was told that the seer was a very holy man. Hence, Olodumare always told him when someone was going to die. After 20 years of living in the village, Olagoke had become wealthy. He had already married a beautiful wife and he had a son, Fumbi, and a daughter, Adufe. He had now become friends with the Kabiyesi and many important people in the village. People respected him a lot because he helped all those who were in need of his assistance. However, Olagoke's friendship with the seer was the most surprising of all. He would spend hours chatting with the seer. They were practically inseparable. They both went out for meetings and the families of both men also became really close as a result. The seer's son was an extremely proud young man. His name was Benle. Benle talked to people without respect, and he often bragged about how powerful his father was. He chased away poor people who came to beg for the seer's help. He only wanted to see to the rich ones. The seer wasn't happy with how Benle treated people. Hence, he scolded him to treat everyone with respect, even those who looked weak. Kabiyesi called for an urgent meeting. This meeting included the seer and Olagoke. They went together for this meeting as they always did. The meeting was about the yearly wrestling competition that took place in the village. The king wanted a new look for that year's competition. One of the chiefs explained that they could invite neighboring villages to participate. The people applauded the chief who was speaking. Another person rose up and wanted the reward for the winner to be improved upon. While they were all enjoying the meeting, the seer held his head painfully and bowed down. Olagoke saw this and became worried. Olagoke became so worried, but before he could raise an alarm, the seer became normal again. He raised his head and smiled to Olagoke. The seer told him that anytime a message was coming from Olodumare, he would feel that strong pain in his head. Olagoke chuckled with relief. The meeting ended and everyone left the palace. As they went, Olagoke asked his friend what Olodumare had told him, but the seer replied to him saying, "Unless Olodumare asked me to inform the person, I cannot speak about it, unless it is a must that I do so." Olagoke was surprised as he chuckled. Olagoke wasn't a man who pressured people against their wishes, hence he did not ask any further questions. As they were chatting, a little girl hit them as she was running. Olagoke quickly held the girl from falling. The girl had tears in her eyes. The seer quickly instructed Olagoke to let the girl be. A confused Olagoke wondered why he should not be concerned about the little girl who was running and crying. The seer saved the girl from Olagoke and asked her to run to her destination. He told Olagoke that death was in fact chasing the little girl that he held. He said further that if death met the girl with Olagoke, people would believe that Olagoke killed the poor girl. Olagoke became confused than ever. He asked the seer if there was nothing he could do to prevent death from taking the girl's life. But the seer answered and said to him, "I am just a seer. I cannot give life or healing, my friend." Disappointed and sad, Olagoke continued walking. As they got closer to the house of the little girl who ran past them, they heard shouts and cries. Olagoke was confused. He walked faster to see what was happening. The seer walked briskly behind him. When Olagoke got to the house, he found the little girl on her mother's lap, dead. Olagoke turned to the seer in anguish and hurt. He couldn't take it and decided to go home. Olagoke could not eat for the rest of the day. He was so sad that why could Olodumare have allowed the death of the little girl who is also innocent? Olagoke's wife brought him food, but he wouldn't eat it. He was very sad. The seer as well was very sad at the gift he had and why he could only see deaths and not better things. While he was sitting, he felt a sharp pain in his head and he bowed his head painfully. Benle quickly rushed in as he heard his father's cry. Benle understood that his father was receiving a message from Olodumare, hence he did not disturb the seer. Instead, he took a seat beside his father. When the seer was back to normal, he began to cry. Benle was shocked. Benle wondered why his father would receive a message and cry. He asked his father what the message was about, but the seer refused to tell him. He just continued to cry till night. The following day, Olagoke had forgotten about the little girl's death and he was ready to go on with his business. Olagoke had breakfast with his son, Olafumbi. Fumbi was very handsome. He was also a very intelligent wrestler who always found a way to defeat his opponents no matter their strength. He was the current champion of the village. Olagoke had put Fumbi in charge of the family business, both at the farm and at the point of sales. Olagoke was expecting Fumbi to go to the farm for the day so that he could meet his friend, the seer. But Fumbi had informed him that he needed to go for training since the wrestling competition was drawing near. Olagoke had no choice but to go to the farm and forfeit seeing his friend for the day while his son Fumbi trained for the wrestling competition that was drawing near. At the training, the young man hailed Fumbi as he kept defeating all his opponents, but Benle wasn't impressed. He wasn't sure why the other young men applauded Fumbi. When it was time for a quick rest, the young men brought out gourds of palm wine and drank. Some drank more than they should, while others maintained their composure. In no time, Benle, who had drank too much, began to laugh hysterically. One of the young men told Fumbi to take Benle home since their fathers were friends. Benle retorted that he would rather fall in a ditch than allow Fumbi take him home. "Did I wrong you in any way?" Fumbi cried. Benle chuckled wickedly and told him that he doesn't like him because he was proud and too full of himself. One of the young men became angry. He warned Benle to keep quiet. Benle said that Fumbi was only championed because Olagoke bribed the other wrestlers to lose. Fumbi became so angry that he punched Benle in the face and a fight broke out. The young men tried to separate them from fighting. The young men pulled Fumbi off Benle as it was clear that Fumbi could kill Benle. Benle began to laugh as he spat out blood. The people were surprised to see Benle laugh. Benle told Fumbi to train really hard for the upcoming competition because his father won't be there to bribe the judges anymore. What do you mean? My father never bribes anyone, Fumbi blurted out. Benle replied that it doesn't even matter whether his father bribed anyone or not because Olagoke, his father, was going to die in 7 days. Immediately Benle said the words, they all became very quiet. Fumbi and the other young men were sad because Olagoke was someone the whole village loved because of his philanthropic lifestyle. Fumbi stood up quietly and walked away. Fumbi got home and went to sleep in his bed. He didn't talk to anyone, not his sister, not his mother. He just went to bed. When Olagoke returned home, he met his wife and daughter in the living room. He asked if his son was back from his training. His wife told him about how the boy returned early and went into his room and has refused to speak to anyone since. Olagoke went straight into Fumbi's room. When he got there, he met Fumbi in tears. Olagoke was shocked to see his son cry that much. What happened at the training, son? Olagoke asked worriedly. Fumbi just cried every time that Olagoke asked. Fumbi eventually told him that Benle, the son of the great seer, his friend, told him that his father would die in 7 days. Me? Olagoke asked in shock. Fumbi nodded slowly. I will die in 7 days? Olagoke asked again. Fumbi began to cry profusely again. Olagoke tried to comfort Fumbi. He told him that death was a certainty for every human being. Olagoke gathered his family outside his house and comforted them. He told them to be grateful that they have the chance to be prepared for the impending loss. The family became very sad that night. In the morning, the seer decided to visit his friend. He wanted to break the news to him personally in a way that won't make him sad. The seer was surprised to see the whole family seated there. He asked why they didn't go about their normal business, but Olagoke told him that they already knew the news he had come to break. The seer was surprised that they already knew. Olagoke told him that it was his son who broke the news during their training the previous day. The seer apologized and left disappointed. The seer returned home full of anger. He confronted his son about why he had to taunt Fumbi about the death of his father. Benle had nothing meaningful to say other than he was trying to put Fumbi in his place because he was proud. The seer promised to punish his son for what he had done. Olagoke decided to spend more time with his family every day till the day of his death. He didn't want them to miss him too much. He had dinner with them every night. Olagoke made it a habit to eat together with his family at night and do his philanthropy during the day. Olagoke wanted to make sure that his family continued his daily practice even after his death. The seer would visit his friend sometimes. Olagoke wanted to make everyone happy, so he tried to visit all his friends. He even visited the king to bid him farewell and beg him to take care of his family. The king promised to make sure that Olagoke's family would never suffer any kind of intimidation after his death. Olagoke went back home. It was the night of the 7th day, and the family were together, knowing fully well that that was the last night that they would see him alive. Olagoke wore a white cloth to bed and lay down, resting his 2 palms on his chest. His family sat down around him. They were all very sad. Olagoke's family, having made peace with their reality, slept in their father's room in order to spend his last night with him. It was dawn, and the family is still asleep. Fumbi was the first to wake up. He looked at them all and woke them up. They shook Olagoke, but he didn't respond. They soon gave up and began to cry. It was bright already, and everyone began getting ready to go and comfort the family of Olagoke. The seer already got out early to be among the first set of people to comfort the family. The seer entered into the living room and met the family eating breakfast. The seer became confused that they weren't mourning their father. While he was still speaking, Olagoke came out of a room. The seer was extremely surprised to see him. The seer could not say a thing before he turned back and left. The pity he was feeling for his friend soon became anger towards Olodumare. Word soon spread that Olagoke was alive and that he didn't die according to the words of the seer, who everyone knew his words to be final. The seer, who has been embarrassed, went into his spiritual room to inquire from Olodumare why he decided to deceive him concerning his friend Olagoke. Olodumare answered the seer and told him that what he said about Olagoke was true, but the seer was the reason why Olagoke is still alive. Olodumare told the seer that he was instructed to inform Olagoke in a specific way, but his son Bende decided to act as if Olagoke's life was in his hands. Olodumare added that the way his son mocked Olagoke's son was why he decided to spare the life of the man. The seer told Olodumare that the people will no longer respect his words and will no longer believe him again. But Olodumare told him that he doesn't care how one man felt about his ego, but he cared about how the people feel for their lives. Olodumare told the seer that Olagoke would not die again until he becomes 110 years on earth. After 2 more days, Olagoke went to the king to pay homage to the Kabiyesi. Kabiyesi was happy that Olagoke was alive and that no man can take the place of Olodumare. Hey guys, what did you learn from the story? Please share your view in the comment section, and please don't forget to subscribe and like for more African stories like this. Thank you.